Let's divide using long division. So if I want to divide using long division, first let's set this up. So I'll say x squared plus 3x minus 10, and I am dividing by x minus 2. Okay, so first step is division, and I am going to be dividing, this term by this term. Okay, so division, first step. So basically what I do is I say, well, x squared divided by x equals x, and I'll put the result of that division on top. Excellent, that was the first step. Let's move on to the second step. Now the second step is multiplication, which gives me x times this entire thing there, which will be x minus 2, which gives me x squared minus 2x. And I put that on the bottom, x squared minus 2x. All right. And then we have a third step, which is subtraction. So third step, subtraction. Right here, we subtract all this. All right, so x squared cancels out with x squared. Then we have 3x minus negative 2x, which is the same as 3x plus 2x. So 3 plus 2 is 5x. And then we bring down negative 10. All right, excellent. All right, so now we are going to be dividing again. We repeat the process. Divide. And I'll even use the same colors right there. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're saying, well, now it's 5x divided by x, which gives me 5. So then I'll put the 5 on top. Okay, so now what we do, second step again. Now we're moving on to multiplication. Second step again, multiplication. Okay, which we take this, the 5 right there, and then we multiply by x minus 2 again, which gives me 5x minus 10. 5x minus 10. All right, so now we're at the third step again, which is subtraction. So we're at the third step again, which is subtraction. So 5x minus 5x, those cancel out. Negative 10 minus negative 10, same as negative 10 plus 10, which gives me a 0. So it looks like my final answer is simply an x plus 5. If you really want to check your work, you would simply multiply the divisor by your quotient, right? And if you get back your original, then you probably did it right, or you messed up on your algebra. And multiplying them together, that's a possibility too. So x plus 5x, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 5 is negative 10. 5 minus 2 is 3, which gives me all that nonsense right there, right? All right, so we did it. Okay, now in the first case, we did not have any remainder. Okay, so let's try this whole process again. You do not have to write all these steps out like this. You don't have to write the 1 division, 2 multiplication, 3 subtraction. You don't have to write all that. I'm just trying to show all my work, because otherwise it can get very confusing what I'm actually doing. So I want you to be aware of what the process actually is. Now, notice that as I was doing this, I needed to put placeholders when I was subtracting. I needed to line things up when I was subtracting. So what that means is if I'm missing something, like I don't have a third power, right? Third power there, which means that I need to put a third power. I might need to line things up when I do subtraction later, so I need to keep that third power. All right, so we put plus 6x. Sorry, there's a better 2 than that. And then I'll just put a plus 0 at the end. Okay. Now, we do the same process again. All right, so let's do it. So first step is division. So we do division. And what do we divide? We divide first term there by first term there. So we're going to say 4x to the fourth. That's a 4, not 9. 4x x to the fourth. And we divide that by x, and that should give us 4x to the third. All right, so we say 4x to the third. And I'm going to put that right here on the top. 4x to the third. Okay, then we do multiplication. And I say, well, that's going to be, bring that down, 4x to the third multiplied by x minus 4. Well, x minus 4. All right. And then it's 4x cubed times x, which gives me 4x to the fourth. And then it's 4x cubed times negative 4, which gives me negative 16x cubed. All right. And then we put it down here. So we say 4x to the fourth minus 16x to the third. And we do subtraction. Right? So these cancel out. And we end up with 0 minus negative 16, which is the same as plus 16. So we end up plus 16x to the third, and we can just bring down everything else that we need, right? And then we do another subtraction. So we're going to come over here and we'll do division again. And we say 16x to the third divided by x is equal to 16x to the second. All right. So here we're going to have plus 16x to the second. I know that's a little confusing looking, so let me kind of try to separate that a little bit. Just try to separate these two. Sorry about that. All right, go back to that. Sweet. Okay. And now after the division, now we're going to do multiplication. So I'm going to do multiplication again. Multiplication. Normally you do this mentally. Normally the numbers are easy enough that you don't have to worry about writing all the steps out, and you just do this mentally. Don't feel bad, of course, if you do have to write them out by all means. But don't feel compelled to write every little step if you don't find that to be useful. All right, so 16x squared times x is 16x cubed. 16x squared times negative 4 is negative 64x squared. 16x cubed minus 64x squared. We write this negative 4x squared plus 6x, and put plus 0 there. You don't actually have to bring everything down at this point if you don't want to. I'm kind of purposely trying not to write all this stuff to show you that it's quite possible not to write it all down. If you need to write everything, write it all down. So I'm going to maybe skip the last two steps. So we have negative 4x squared minus negative 64x squared. Subtracting a negative the same as adding, so it's negative 4 plus 64, which will give you a plus 60x squared plus 6x plus 0. All right, so we divide it, right? So basically we're saying 60x squared divided by x gives me, well, that would just give me 60x, right? So it's plus 60x. And then you would say, well, it's 60x times x, which gives me 60x squared. And then it would be 60x times negative 4, which would be negative 240x. And then we would do subtraction. 60x squared minus 60x squared cancels. 6x minus negative 240 is the same as 6x plus 240, which would give me 246x plus 0. And then we would divide 246 by x, or 246x by x, which just gives me 246. 246. And then we say 246 times x, which gives me 246x. And then we say 246 times negative 4, which gives me 984, which gives me 984, negative 984. And we subtract, these cancel out. And then we end up with the remainder, that 984, because 984 divided by x doesn't work, so we say plus 984, and we put that over the x minus 4. So that horrible thing there is actually the answer. So all of that is the answer. All right, let's try the next one. All right, synthetic division is solved. All right, so let's try these. Okay, I do want to point out that synthetic division only works whenever these are first power. So there's a first power here, and there's a first power here. So your divisor can only be 1 degree, otherwise synthetic division really doesn't work out. You have to use other things. So synthetic division works really well in this case, but otherwise you can't really use synthetic division. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to use synthetic division. So I'm going to rewrite this polynomial here, but without the variables. All right, so positive 4, negative 3, positive 3, negative 1. All right, cool. And then I'm going to divide it by the opposite of this right here. So that negative 1 right there, I'm putting into a positive 1 right here. Okay, cool. So we bring down the first one. which is a 4. I'm going to say 1 times 4. And 1 times 4 is 4. When we say negative 3 plus 4 is 1, then we're going to say 1 times 1. And that gives me a 1. And then we say 3 plus 1 is 4. Then we say 1 times 4. And that gives me a 4. And then I say negative 3 plus 4 is a 3. Right there. Okay. Now what happens is when I divided, I decreased these exponents places by 1, right? Okay. So the first place used to be 3, third degree, then second degree, then first degree, then constant, right? Well, everything's been decreased. So now this is actually 4x to the second plus 1x, right? You don't actually have to put the 1 there, obviously. I just put there to emphasize that's where I got the 1, right? And then plus 4, which is a constant. We're down to constant. And now we have this extra space where that last 3 is, and that right there is going to be the remainder. And I put the remainder over the original divisor of x minus 1. All right, let's try the next one. So we're going to have a 5 minus 6, and then plus 3, and then plus 11. And we divide all of that by the opposite of that negative 2 right over here. So we divide it by a positive 2. Okay, then we bring down the 5. We say 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus negative 6 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 times 2 is 22. 22 plus 11 is 33. All right. We started with an x cubed here, right? We had a cube. So now we're going to go down to 2. So now it's 5x to the second plus 4x plus 11 plus 33. We're past the constant though, so this is our remainder, so we're going to put it over the original x minus 2 as a remainder.